And I'm back with more Breath of Fire 2. Almost fucked the entire thing up because I pulled the create suspend instead of load suspend right at the beginning. I knew I'd do that more than once. So I hit the create suspend right as I got to the opening screen before I hit the load suspend. So it happens even late into the game. So I almost screwed up the entire thing. Ick. But we're here in Infinity. Again, that's why you double save. You never fucking know. Little mistakes happen. But anyway, I'm here. The important thing is I have health blocks for days, I have extracts for days, and I have these. I really should have bought more wise blocks. Or wise balls, but you know what? It's fine. Biggest goal here is making sure Kat and Nina stay intact the entire way through. So if there's any point where So I'm going to try and save after every level. I'm not going to go for any treasures, but I am going to go down the southern route. There might be a treasure for Ryu, like one of the dragon items that I missed. But basically, if they stay intact, I've got a better chance of winning. Because I really don't want to do this a third time. You know? If I can help it. If I can help it at all. I mean, Kat is going to do so much extra damage. Nuna, for sure, is going to do more damage than she normally would. Really, dude? So, I am 5 levels ahead of where I, give or take, where I was before I started Infinity the first time. So, you know. But, yeah, the next few episodes are just me getting back to Barberry. Intact. So, yes, we're doing Infinity all over again because, god damn it, the game decided it was even tougher than I thought it was. And this is pretty much just like Final... I keep bringing up the Final Fantasy III comparison every single time I do this. But it's just absolutely striking how similar of a setup this is. Because multiple dungeons... Well, one mainline dungeon that's the same, but whatever. But essentially just one giant fuck-off dungeon. This one at least has cure spots and save spots, so it's beats the original in that regard. But the final bosses are way harder. Now, Final Fantasy III has, like, multiple endgame bosses in a no-save dungeon, so it still sucks more in that regard. But we saw that Barberry was just like, oh, hey, you think you're leveled up? No, you're not. You think you're gonna beat me? No, you're not. So, fuck. So, yeah, that was slightly frustrating. I think what sucks more is having to do this again. I don't have much else new to say. So, like, what do I talk about? What do I want to talk about? Anyway, I think one of the only things I can talk about would be what I'm doing next. And what I'm doing next... Sleepiness, really? What I'm doing next is Soul Hackers 2. Now, Soul Hackers 2 is sort of halfway point between a Persona game and an SMT game without really being as good as either, but it still has its moments. One thing I will say that compared to this, it doesn't have any issues grind-wise. I was able to beat the game with pretty much the levels where I'm supposed to be. Now, I think that was on, like, story difficulty. I forget what... I forget if it even has an easy difficulty or not, but whatever. I remember beating it at basically keeping my levels the same as the enemies all the way through. And I didn't really have any trouble until maybe late. There are a couple of endings, but shouldn't be too insurmountable. I'm expecting it to be like 25, 30, 35, 40 hours, you know, typical, without being out of the ordinary. I think what gets lost in the weeds is it's a good game from a company that has been transcendent. So I think people were expecting it to be the same level as an SMT experience, which we saw with SMT5, which I have not played on this channel, but I might, or a Persona game. And judged on those merits, it's a failure, because it's a dungeon, it's just like a dungeon crawl with like minor story stuff as earned. It's an old school experience. There's very little in the way of friendship and bonding stuff, like very stripped down. There's very little in the way of, hey, go do a new thing and do whatever. No, it's very old school in that regard. Very old school. Approach to dungeons to its detriment. Like, the music and stuff is very simplistic. The dungeons are very repetitive, which sucks, you know, because they got to the point in Persona 5 by the time where dungeons were not boring. So, yeah, it's kind of bleh in that regard, but it's still a solid experience, and it's buoyed by what I think is like the best Atlas main character ever, because she actually fucking speaks. I've mentioned so many times, so we're going over 6-7 years at this point, my distaste for silent protagonists, and it's shown in this game too. Like, not as severe as, say, Dragon Quest XI, I think is still, like, the worst case scenario. Because they bend over backwards to make this guy important, like, Luminary important, only for, like, him to never speak, unless he's a child. He doesn't speak unless he's a child. Anyway, whatever. So, Atlas's response to, hey, we have all these main characters, and Joker and Narukami and Minato are fun and all, but you have to fill in gaps. Ringo, she speaks. And she's fucking nasty and kind of... Like, her concept is she's a blank slate AI-ish character. So she can be snarky, she can be angsty, she can be vengeful, she can be funny, she can be everything. And she does what most characterizations should do, is kind of the Final Fantasy VII approach, or the Final Fantasy VIII approach to dialogue, where you're given a couple of dialogue options, but... Oh no. Okay, thank God. I forgot that they were there. Where a character doesn't lose their characterization and speaking to you, but doesn't feel unearned and awkward when... Yeah, it doesn't feel unearned or awkward if you go off type. Like, main thing with Soul Hackers 2 is that a lot of the dialogue is chosen to further your relationship with a certain main character. So, somebody might want the more suave option, or might want the more, I just want to kill you option. And the way Ringo is played, and I bet this is bared out in the Japanese version, but specifically for me, for the English version, the lady who did Sophia in Persona 5 Strikers went on to play Ringo, and she plays her really goddamn well. She isn't robotic in the worst way. She's kind of a feisty main character, where everything she says seems like something she would say, or something she could conceivably say, but it's given the character my biggest thing is why I don't like silent protagonists is they have no agency. It's thrust upon the player to give me agency. But if I don't know anything about a character, I don't have any jumping off point. I don't know if this Ryu is shy, cowardly, determined, angsty, vengeful, whatever. The game wants me to believe that, but I'm never given any indication that I give a shit. Because how do I know in the moment what I know? I know Kat is very feisty and just kind of silly and dumb, but she's earnest and, you know, wants to help. Nina has been through God knows how much shit, and it's kind of ruined her life, but she's still trying to maintain something. Blue, like, she at least got a line or two, but she's a returning character. She's a cameo. There's not much to get from her. But at least from what they look like and stuff, I get more than, I'm a hero. I do hero things. I don't like games trying to explain and gussy up a character for me. Okay, him dying, I don't... Well, he didn't die there. But my point was, I never feel like they themselves are telling me what I'm supposed to feel, because I like it when games tell me what they feel. I want characters to tell me their story, not I'm telling myself a story. That's why I've never done other games where I pick a character and there I go. And, you know, outside of Dragon Quest, you know, more often than like the early games. Like a Final Fantasy game or an early game, I get that. But when we get into like early PS1 to now, like the last 20, 25 years, like, I want a game to tell me what it's supposed to feel. I want to be given a ride. So, if you're going to give me agency, give me options. So, in Ringo's way, she's given options. And none of them feel out of place. The 3 or 4 options, that seems like the best option. Ringo still has a main goal and a vibe that she's supposed to portray, but it's open-ended to the point where, okay, it doesn't feel strange if... like the instance of where Squall is like, hey, I like Renault and Elle, let's talk to her for 5 minutes. No. All the game long, you've basically said he doesn't like dealing with people at all, so I'm not going to talk to anybody. So why would I help? But you're given the choice to, and some of the fun could be, oh, okay, well, you're doing this for relationship purposes, but you also want to see the dialogue and you want to see, well, it's different. That's a bit out of character, but that's kind of neat. Let's go with that. Ringo doesn't ever feel out of character because she's open-ended, and her story is open-ended. I do wish that there was more to the game than Ringo, but sometimes that's all I need. Sometimes is a good, solid character to work around. And I've seen this with shows, too. A lot of the anime that I've been watching recently, the new season cropped up, and sometimes all I'm looking for is a character to engage with me. Because if I don't feel engaged by a couple of episodes in, I start wondering what I'm doing there. And that's a problem, you know? I don't want anyone to feel like they're not trying, but you can kind of tell when a show is just there to give you plot and nothing else, versus, okay, this is happening to a character. What is their response to being in this plot? Rather than, the world is divided into this thing and we're fighting against these guys and we have to go and do this thing. You know, there's a difference. Versus, okay, they're in here. Are they messing with my family, or am I trying to kill them? What is my reasoning? Why do I care? Because there's only so many characters you can tell. There's only so many characters you can give. There's so many stories you can give. What is the mix? What is the mixture of things? I dropped a show clevetess where it was like, hey, this was this dark show with a lot of fighty bits and a lot of swords and a lot of dudes eating things, and it's cool, isn't it? And I'm sitting here going, I don't really care about these characters. I don't care about what's going on. They're giving me reasons, but I don't feel it, right? And that can be a drawback. Or say in a different instance, a game could be all good and all, but maybe the music isn't good. I felt that with Final Fantasy XII. Like, the guy is technically proficient. He's the guy that made all the he made Odin Sphere. He made Final Fantasy Tactics and whatever, and it's fine, but it didn't feel like Uematsu stuff. It didn't feel like Hamauzu stuff. It was not my kind of music, so I wasn't engaged by it. So I had to find other ways for a game to interest me. Same thing with Soul Hackers. The music isn't that good. The dungeon design is not that good. The story is fine, but, you know, what else in the gameplay is going to get me there? So, you know, I have to find things to interest me. And I think, in a way, there's a couple of things that are interesting. The one thing that I do think is contentious, but I actually do enjoy, and it is the streamlining of demon negotiation. They don't really have it in battle anymore. They have it as part of, oh, you're walking around, here's the thing. Give me the thing I want, and I will go on my merry way. Or, give me the thing I want, or I'll kill you, you know. Or, oh, here's something, you need a guy, let me get a guy for you. You know, little shit like that. As opposed to every single fight, you try to find somebody you haven't gotten, you do the thing. I think they streamlined it too much, and some people didn't like that. I actually thought it kept the game moving, because if you're just trying to make a streamlined experience, it's one way of doing it. So, it's still a viable game, but, like, the world that surrounds them is not very fleshed out, or is fleshed out enough, and I think that's what it is. It's good enough. Kind of like this game until the very fucking end here. Like, this dungeon is, like, just ridiculously long. But do I hate this game? No. It's good enough. But that's the rub. It's good enough. And sometimes that's fine, but when you're competing against other games, specifically others in your franchise, well, that's the reality. That's the problem Final Fantasy games face all the goddamn time, is you have 4 through 10, like even 8. Spectacular in some ways, but really dumb in others, but still, it's probably better than a lot of the early games and some of the newer ones. But everybody has a different take on what they think is good in different ways, you know. Some people might think that clevetess is just amazing and just the best thing, and here I go, like, I'm dropping it, you know, or Soul Hackers 2 or whatever is the best, you know, because there's varying degrees of what everybody wants out of something. Somebody might just sit here and think of my explanation of Silent Protagonist and go, you're putting too much stock in that shit. It's dumb. I'm like, okay, you like projecting yourself on other people. But my concept is, I don't want to have myself projected onto an avatar. I'm not playing as Ryu to play as insert Strife's thing here, you know. I'm gonna play as this guy who looks nothing like me. But he's gonna be me in every aspect, and it's... No. He doesn't look like me. He doesn't talk like me. He doesn't act like me. I'm not trying to project myself onto him. I'm not on this journey for me. God, no. I'm in here for escapism. So when I'm doing escapism, I want some character to go on a journey with people and be like, oh, I'm doing this for this reason, and this reason, and this reason, and hello. Well, this is unique. Let's go on this journey. Cool. It's different. I've seen this story 1,000 times, but it's a different story because this person is going through... Like, Tales of Berseria. Tales of Berseria would be nothing to write home about if it didn't have its character's story in tow. Because the gameplay's fine, but stupid. And the equipment and abilities are dumb. You know, because I kept being forced to use really outdated equipment, right? But Velvet and her characters and her story and her interactions with people and everything kind of bled into all of that vibe that was going on. That led it to being a transcendent experience. In spite of some faults. Because I was on Velvet's journey. I was listening to Velvet talk to me. I was watching Velvet doing all those things. Those are not things I would do on my daily basis, because I'm not going to cut off somebody's tail if they were somehow magically able to grow one. I wouldn't go stabbing people for the sake of the goodness of the world and all that. No, that's a story that I'm trying to be told. That's what I'm getting at with something like Soul Hackers here is, or even Breath of Fire 2, is like, I need to be told a story. And, you know, Breath of Fire 2, in its defense, is very basic, but there's nothing wrong, it's just there. But it's not terrible, it's just, you're not getting award-winning writing, and the translation does leave a lot to be desired, unfortunately. So there is that problem. Because, yeah, whoever tried to translate this, ick. Like, yeah, they failed miserably. A lot of this is very weird and dumb. But it is what it is. But there are things like Nina's storyline that worked out well. Kat, for what limited screen time she gets, until she gets into the weird Taiga loved her because she looked awesome. Like, that was kind of creepy, but, like, I wanted to see more of it. If this was, say, Breath of Fire 3 or Breath of Fire 4, you might have gotten into more of the minutia of, okay, it's creepy, but I have my reasons. This game was trying to fit in that kind of, like, speed. Like, no. If this was a PS1 or PS2 game, you would have the time, I think, to delve deeper into the romance subplots a bit more. This game was not interested in that, but it throws stuff at you. Religion is bad! Whatever, you know. It's doing enough for what it is, because is this the best game in the world? No. And I think I said this at the start. Same thing with other games. Like, you can like a game even if lots of its problems are there. You just have to be aware that, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying you don't like something. But you have to be smart in how you say it. I hope I'm going the right way. I don't think I'm going the right way. But since I'm going this way, I might as well pick up that chest. It's extra experience, what the fuck. Well, goody. Well, shit. Wait a minute. Am I going the right way? Fuck. I hope I'm going the right way. Well, fuck it. I'm going this way, and if I find out I'm going wrong, I'm going wrong. Still got 25 minutes. Probably not gonna finish, but you can see I am at least going through this a lot faster now. Oh no, this is bad. Ow. Oh man. Okay, she's... Nah! Really, dude? Fuck. That was what I wanted to avoid. So, let's not do that. Let's go a different direction. I lost a few minutes of my time. God damn it. And I lost some experience, too. Ugh. Well... Okay. Oh, man! Really? I'm this far back? Dude, why? I should have saved. Anyway. But the hope is to get to Dologany and then do one more run in, like, tomorrow's episode, and then Saturday just try to beat this fucking game. And maybe even do... what I'm gonna do is a Final Fantasy VI rando. I'm gonna try a Coliseum seed, or if I don't know how to get that, because it's a preset that apparently I can do. But if I can't do that, then I could try just doing a no shop seed, where I'm only forced to do Coliseum stuff and other things. Yeah, create. Good. Okay. Okay, I think I went this direction last time. That's probably why. But yeah, limit the amount of time in shops and make them less important. So, that'll be the buffer between this and Soul Hackers. Also, because I mentioned this on a post the other day, because I've been mentioning that Bravely Default is going to be one of those. I don't know if I have the money because I spent so much money getting a replacement computer. Bravely Default might be a Christmas thing, if I'm lucky. We don't know that, but I have to think of things to do because I wanted to get Bravely Default. That's a game I want to do. I mean, this is only like the second time I've ever like not done a game that was voted in. I think the other one was Final Fantasy VII, but that was more to do with scheduling conflicts and life bullshit than anything else. And reality sitting in that I don't know if Final Fantasy Rebirth and Reunion and Remake are what I want out of a playthrough, you know? So then I'd just be chasing numbers, and I don't know if that's really the smart play, because I'm not doing this for numbers. And to be fair, I don't think I like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth completely. So I'm putting it in that B slot of I like it, but I don't go over my... I'm not gonna go nuts over it if I don't play it. Because what I like about it is the characterization and basically all the Final Fantasy VII-ness of the Final Fantasy VII game is intact. But, okay, I would have had to go this way anyway. Goddamn. So, yeah, all that for a shield that's not going to help me. Fighting doesn't matter. But the Final Fantasy VII-ness of it, the characters looking the way they are, the music sounding the way it should sound, the look and feel of it, it's all really fucking good. The gameplay, I mean, for a turn, well, not a turn, like taking a turn-based game and doing the not turn-based thing with it, I suppose is fine. But it's not what I want out of a Final Fantasy game, as we've seen. You know, that's why 15 and 16 have taken forever to be... Like, I've put in 15 on occasion, but I've never gone out of my way to play those yet. Same deal. I'm not playing Final Fantasy games to play the action-based games. But, whatever. I've been down that road forever. But Final Fantasy VII, my biggest thing with this comes from Remake, where I wonder if it's gonna stick the landing, or if it's going to blow up in their faces and just be a complete fucking mess. And I don't know that. So I gotta play the third game to know for sure. Because I don't want to do Remake and then do Rebirth and be like, oh god, Reunion, or... They're gonna call it Reunion. Let's just... at least you think they should, anyway. It'd be the most obvious choice. But, you know, what I don't know is the final, like, I think I hate the endings of both Remake and Rebirth. Because they're doing things that are so awkward that I don't know if I like it or hate it, but I'm leaning towards hating it. And from what I've heard, they're trying to keep it in line with what ends up happening with Advent Children. So they're not trying to change too much. But it sure shit seems like they've changed a lot. Without going into spoilers, but they've sure fucking changed a lot. Trying to expand the story. And I don't know if that's a good thing, but I'm leaning towards nah. So I don't want to invest in a game, and then invest in another game, and then invest in a third without knowing the, oh, okay, I'm sold on this. If it was complete and I knew, alright, the trilogy is done, it's a solid B or B plus franchise, and it's got this going for it, and this going for it, and it's got this, and this, and this, and this, and I enjoy the experience, cool. Fuck you. That'd be one thing. Because I haven't run the gamut of games yet. But back on the topic of Bravely Default, same idea. I want games that I know I enjoy. But if I don't have access to it, then I understand, okay, well, gotta find something else to do. So the hope is that I've got Castlevania games I haven't touched yet, the Yakuza games that I haven't touched yet, the interstitial games of Gaiden, you know, the man who erased his name, and Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, Final Fantasy III, Pixel Remaster, which solves a lot of the issues from dungeons like this by having save points and shit. So not a complete home run of a Final Fantasy III game, but should be a better experience. Astral Chain, which, again, not amazing, but has an aura to it all its own. And then Valkyria Chronicles. The last two of which I've definitely had voted here and there, or put on the polls, but now they get their chances. Again, these are games that I'm done with Soul Hackers, but I don't have access to Bravely Default just yet because I don't have the money or whatever. But I'm gonna get it at some point. So if I could save my money to the point where I can feasibly buy a console without it being a problem, we got it. You know, well, get to Bravely Default, boom. Because that's like the game that I want the Switch 2 for. I don't really want the Switch 2 for anything else right now, so why buy a console? Same deal, like I didn't want to buy a PS4 or PS5 until I knew there was a Persona or a Final Fantasy game on there. So I was like, alright. Same deal. I forgot what I bought the PS5 for, but it was definitely like something. It had to have been a Persona game or a... Well, no, it couldn't have been a Persona game because they were on the PS4, but it probably had to do with Yakuza. Like one of the Yakuza games, and then getting, say, Remake. Because the one thing that the PS5 does have going for it is a lot quicker gameplay and load times. But realistically, They don't need to make a PS6 for another 5 or 10 years. They don't need to. The Switch lasted, what, a fucking decade? Until the Switch 2 came out? I was like, Jesus. Anyway. Hurrah! I made it to the market. I'm good for me. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save, god damn it. What's cool is I didn't use too many health blocks. Yes. So, but I've kept everybody, so I made it through. It took, like, what, 30, 40 minutes, but... Let's find these people and get my health blocks back. Because I need to do one more run of... Nope, not this one. I still need to do another run through Infinity, which is unfortunate. There's still more left to go, but I should be able to get, like, one more episode to get to Barberry. And then hopefully beat this guy. I hope. I hope. Anyway. Okay. Alright. Cool. No. I should have room for one left, but... Why'd I do that? I don't know why I did that. No point not, right? Just go for it. I have room for 2! Yay! Cool, it's fine. Ugh. But hopefully, tomorrow I get through enough of Infinity to just do the thing. Let's go down here. Yeah, because we have 8 more floors. Ugh. Alright, so create... Okay. Cool, 7:30. Alright. Good time for me to go get work done and shit. But here's hoping tomorrow I have enough time to just zip through Infinity to an extent that I can get to Barberry in the episode after. Because Saturday, I'm hoping to fucking beat this game. But I don't know. I suppose I'll find out next time.